The dark web, a portal to the unknown. For decades, the internet has served as a vast repository of knowledge, entertainment, and communication. However, beneath the surface of what most people encounter daily lies a shadowy underbelly known as the dark web. Unlike the regular surface web, the dark web is intentionally hidden from search engines and is accessible only through specialized software such as Tor. This anonymity offers protection to users and operators alike, but it also creates a haven for illicit activities, dangerous marketplaces, and unspeakable content. The dark web is a place of mystery and terror. It is the digital equivalent of a hidden city, one that thrives on secrecy, fear, and the exploitation of anonymity. In the following sections, we will explore various categories of dark websites that have become notorious over the years. We will detail frightening stories, cautionary tales, and eye-opening experiences that serve as warnings to would-be explorers. 1. Dark web marketplaces. The underground bazaars. Dark web marketplaces are perhaps the most notorious aspect of this hidden realm. They function much like eBay or Amazon, but instead of offering everyday goods, they trade in illegal items such as drugs, firearms, counterfeit currency, stolen data, and even human organs. These platforms attract a diverse clientele, from hardened criminals to curious thrill seekers, each drawn by the promise of complete anonymity and unfettered access to forbidden goods. 1.1 Anatomy of a dark web marketplace. Dark web marketplaces operate on the principles of anonymity, trust, and reputation. Vendors establish profiles and listings, while buyers rely on feedback systems to gauge the credibility of sellers. Transactions are conducted using cryptocurrencies, making financial tracking extremely difficult. Despite the measures in place, law enforcement agencies around the world have, on occasion, infiltrated these marketplaces and shut them down, leading to a constant cat-and-mouse game between criminals and authorities. Real-life account. The Phantom Seller. One particularly chilling account involves a user who purchased what was advertised as a state-of-the-art mobile phone from a well-reviewed vendor on a popular dark web marketplace. The buyer initially believed he had scored an incredible deal, but soon discovered that the phone contained encrypted files and mysterious messages that seemed to indicate the seller was being watched or was watching someone else. The files hinted at a larger network of surveillance and control, leaving the buyer terrified and unsure if he had inadvertently become part of a much more dangerous scheme. This incident serves as a stark reminder that even routine transactions on these marketplaces can have sinister, far-reaching consequences. 1.2 Notable dark marketplaces and their legacies. Over the years, several dark web marketplaces have risen to prominence before eventually falling to law enforcement efforts. One of the most infamous was Silk Road, a site that revolutionized online black markets before being taken down by the FBI. Silk Road not only paved the way for similar platforms, but also exposed the vulnerabilities and challenges inherent in regulating such spaces. The downfall of Silk Road's eventual demise, was both spectacular and cautionary. Operated by Ross Ulbricht under the pseudonym Dread Pirate Roberts, the marketplace facilitated millions of dollars in illegal transactions before its abrupt shutdown. The case not only highlighted the capabilities of modern cyber law enforcement, but also served as a grim warning to those who believed that the internet was a safe haven for criminal enterprises. The legacy of marketplaces. Even after high-profile takedowns, new marketplaces have sprung up, each learning from the mistakes of its predecessors. The cycle of shutdowns and rebranding continues, ensuring that the dark web remains a dynamic and ever-evolving environment. Users are constantly reminded that, no matter how robust a site's security may seem, a single misstep can result in catastrophic consequences. R. Hitman services. The myth, the reality, and the terror. Among the most chilling facets of the dark web are websites that purport to offer hitman services. These sites claim to provide clients with the ability to hire assassins to eliminate their targets. While many of these sites are scams designed to defraud desperate individuals, some have been linked to real-world criminal activity, making them a significant focus for law enforcement agencies worldwide. 2.1 The allure of the forbidden. The very idea of hiring someone to commit murder from behind a computer screen is enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. The promise of anonymity, coupled with the potential for revenge, or a permanent solution to personal problems, creates an alluring yet dangerous proposition for some. Even if many of these sites are fraudulent, the possibility that real killers might be involved cannot be entirely discounted. A chilling encounter. One disturbing tale involves a user who, out of desperation and a desire for vengeance, contacted a dark web hitman service. The user initially believed that the transaction was nothing more than a twisted joke, yet within hours, he began receiving ominous phone calls from an unknown number. The voice on the other end mentioned details that could only be known by someone intimately connected to the case, details that the user had never publicly shared. Terrified by the implications, the user scrambled to cover his tracks, only to later discover that the hitman service was not a mere scam, but had actual connections to organized criminal networks. Although the intended victim was never harmed, the incident left a trail of paranoia and fear, illustrating that even seemingly far-fetched dark web services can carry very real dangers. 2.2 Law enforcement and the undercover battle. Due to the inherent threat posed by hitman websites, global law enforcement agencies have prioritized their infiltration and shutdown. Over the years, sting operations have led to the arrest of several individuals associated with these sites. These operations reveal that while some sites are merely fraudulent fronts, others serve as genuine conduits for criminal activity. The successful takedown of such platforms often involves international cooperation and sophisticated cyber investigative techniques. The ethics and implications. The mere existence of hitman services on the dark web raises profound ethical and societal questions. How do we reconcile the desire for absolute freedom and privacy on the internet with the need to protect society from dangerous criminal activity? These questions remain at the forefront of debates surrounding internet regulation and cybercrime. The dark web, by its very nature, challenges our conventional understanding of law enforcement and personal responsibility in the digital age. 3. Human experimentation sites. The ultimate breach of morality. Perhaps one of the most horrifying categories of dark websites is dedicated to human experimentation and abuse. These sites claim to host footage or even live streams of illegal and unethical experiments on humans. While many of these sites are shrouded in mystery and exaggeration, the stories that emerge from their corners are enough to send chills down the spine of even the most hardened individual. 3.1. The taboo of human experiments. Human experimentation sites often claim to showcase the work of rogue scientists and criminal organizations that conduct inhumane experiments outside the realm of ethical boundaries. These experiments are said to range from chemical tests on unwilling subjects to extreme psychological torture. The very notion of such experiments violates every basic human right and represents the ultimate degradation of human dignity, a testimony of horror. One account that circulates in dark web forums involves a user who claims to have accidentally stumbled upon a site broadcasting what appeared to be a live experiment. The footage showed individuals being subjected to various forms of distress ranging from exposure to toxic chemicals to invasive psychological tests. When the user attempted to exit the page, his device reportedly began receiving repeated notifications and warnings, as if the site's operators were determined to ensure that he remained a witness to their atrocities. Whether exaggerated or not, such accounts highlight the deep-seated fear and revulsion that these types of sites evoke. 3.2. The psychological impact on viewers. The exposure to such grotesque content has profound psychological implications. Many individuals who encounter these sites report experiencing severe anxiety, insomnia, and even post-traumatic stress. The nature of the content is so disturbing that it can haunt a viewer for years after the initial exposure. Experts warn that the psychological damage from witnessing such content can be long-lasting, altering one's perception of trust and security in the digital world. The hidden realities of cybertrauma. Digital trauma is a growing area of concern among mental health professionals. The dark web, with its unregulated and anonymous environment, can expose users to content that would be unimaginable on the surface web. For some, the horror witnessed on these sites becomes a permanent part of their mental landscape. As the internet continues to evolve, so too does the need for robust support systems to help those who have been traumatized by what they have seen online. 4. Red rooms, the myth, and the menace. Perhaps the most infamous and debated phenomenon associated with the dark web is that of red rooms. These sites are rumored to host live streams of extreme violence and torture, sometimes even featuring real-time killings. The very name Red Room conjures images of horror and bloodshed, and for many, the mere thought of such content is enough to provoke terror. 4.1. The Legend of the Red Room. The legend of the Red Room has grown over time, fueled by both first-hand accounts and urban legends that circulate in dark web forums. Many claim that red rooms are places where people pay to witness live acts of violence, often broadcast with a chilling level of detail and intimacy. While some argue that these rooms are nothing more than elaborate hoaxes or manipulated recordings, others insist that they are as real as the darkest corners of human cruelty. A case that defies explanation. One widely circulated story involves an individual who inadvertently discovered what was purported to be a red room. Upon entering the site, he was met with a live video feed of a dimly lit room, where a masked figure could be seen torturing a bound victim. The experience was so visceral that the viewer's subsequent attempts to track down the source were met with repeated warnings and even direct threats to his personal safety. While definitive evidence of red rooms remains elusive, the accounts are enough to send a stark warning to anyone who might be tempted to explore such sites. 4.2. The Debate: Reality versus Hoax. Skeptics of the Red Room phenomenon often point out that many of these sites could be nothing more than carefully crafted hoaxes designed to lure unsuspecting thrill seekers into a web of psychological manipulation and potential legal trouble. Despite these arguments, the fear and mystery surrounding red rooms continue to persist. Whether real or not, the legend of the Red Room serves as a powerful symbol of the dark web's capacity to evoke our deepest fears. The intersection of cybercrime and cyberterrorism. If red rooms are indeed real, they represent a terrifying intersection between cybercrime and cyberterrorism. They are not only a tool for profiting from human suffering, but also a means to instill fear on a mass scale. Governments and international agencies have dedicated significant resources to tracking down individuals responsible for such content, yet the anonymous nature of the dark web continues to make this an uphill battle. Occult and ritual websites. The digital door to the supernatural. Beyond the realms of illegal marketplaces and violent crime, the dark web is also home to websites dedicated to occult practices, witchcraft, and ritualistic ceremonies. These sites tap into humanity's fascination with the supernatural, often blurring the lines between myth, legend, and reality. They cater to those who seek to communicate with forces beyond the natural world or perform rituals that defy conventional religious practices. 5.1. Digital summoning. Modern occult practices. The internet has transformed even the ancient practices of the occult. Where once rituals were confined to secret societies or hidden away in grimoires, now anyone with an internet connection can access a vast array of occult knowledge. These sites offer instructions on summoning spirits, communicating with entities, and performing rituals that promise to unlock hidden powers or foretell the future. A terrifying tale of summoning. One particularly unsettling story involves an individual who, driven by curiosity and a desire for answers, followed instructions from a dark web occult site to perform a summoning ritual. The ritual was detailed and appeared to promise contact with a supernatural entity. However, what ensued was a nightmarish series of events: strange sounds in the middle of the night, unexplained shadows moving in his home, and a pervasive feeling of being watched. The experience left him deeply traumatized, as he felt that he had opened a door that he could not easily close. Such tales serve as a warning that dabbling in the occult, especially when it is sourced from unverified online material, can have unforeseen and frightening consequences. 5.2. The intersection of technology and the supernatural. The digital age has given rise to a new form of the occult. In a world where information is ubiquitous, traditional boundaries between science and superstition are increasingly blurred. Occult websites on the dark web often blend modern technology with age-old rituals, creating a potent mix of fear and fascination. These sites are designed not only to provide guidance, but also to instill a sense of mystery and dread in those who venture into their depths. The psychological pull of the supernatural. For many, the lure of the occult lies in its promise of accessing secret knowledge that lies beyond the reach of conventional science. However, the dark web's occult communities often operate in an echo chamber of their own beliefs, reinforcing paranoia and superstition. As a result, participants may find themselves isolated, both socially and psychologically, as they become increasingly entangled in practices that blur the line between reality and nightmare. 6. Data breach and stolen information hubs. The dark market of personal data. In addition to illicit marketplaces and sensationalized content, the dark web has become a central hub for the trade of stolen personal data. These websites serve as repositories for hacked databases containing sensitive information such as credit card numbers, social security data, and even confidential corporate records. The impact of such breaches can be devastating, leading to identity theft, financial ruin, and a pervasive sense of vulnerability among the public. 6.1 Anatomy of a data breach hub. Data breach sites are often run by cybercriminals who obtain stolen information through hacking, phishing, or insider leaks. Once acquired, this data is organized and sold to the highest bidder on the dark web. Buyers can range from small-time scammers to large-scale criminal organizations, all seeking to profit from the personal details of unsuspecting victims. The ripple effects of a data breach. One notorious case involved a massive data breach that exposed millions of credit card numbers and personal details. The fallout from this breach was felt around the globe, as individuals found their bank accounts drained and credit scores ruined overnight. One user recounted the horror of waking up to find that his identity had been used to commit multiple fraudulent transactions. The psychological and financial toll was immense, highlighting the real-world dangers that lurk behind seemingly abstract data hubs on the dark web. 6.2. The dark economy of information. The trade of personal data has grown into a sophisticated economy on the dark web. Prices for stolen information vary depending on the sensitivity and rarity of the data. For example, information related to high-net-worth individuals or corporate executives can fetch a premium price, while more common data is sold in bulk. This dark economy is not only a major source of profit for cybercriminals, but also a significant threat to global cybersecurity. The very idea that personal details can be traded like commodities is a sobering reminder of how interconnected and vulnerable our digital lives have become. The human toll of data theft. Beyond the financial repercussions, the psychological impact of having one's personal information exposed can be overwhelming. Victims of data breaches often report feelings of betrayal, anxiety, and a loss of privacy that can be difficult to recover from. In some cases, the exposure of sensitive data has led to harassment, stalking, and even physical harm. These stories serve as stark warnings of the dangers of leaving one's digital footprints unprotected in an increasingly interconnected world. 7. Deadly challenges and the dark games. When online dare turns dangerous. In recent years, a disturbing trend has emerged on the dark web in the form of deadly online challenges. These games, or challenges, are designed to push participants to the edge, sometimes literally, and can result in serious harm or even death. Often, these challenges are orchestrated by individuals or groups looking to exploit vulnerable users for their own twisted amusement or financial gain. 7. 1. The rise of digital daredevils. Social media challenges have always been a part of internet culture. However, when these challenges migrate to the dark web, they become a different beast entirely. Here, the anonymity of the platform allows dangerous ideas to flourish unchecked. Participants are often lured in by promises of fame, money, or simply the thrill of defying societal norms. Unfortunately, the stakes in these online dares are extraordinarily high. A story of a deadly dare, one particularly harrowing account, involves a teenager who became involved in a challenge that was rumored to be a test of bravery. The rules were simple, yet terrifying. Participants were to perform a series of dangerous acts on live video, with escalating levels of risk. The teenager, seeking validation and notoriety, followed the challenge's directives. However, during one of the acts, he encountered a situation that spiraled out of control, leading to a near-fatal injury. The aftermath was not only physical trauma, but also a deep psychological scar that haunted him for years. The incident serves as a grim reminder that some online dares are nothing more than traps set in the murky depths of the dark web. 7.2. The role of social engineering and psychological manipulation. What makes these challenges particularly dangerous is the way they are designed to exploit the human psyche. Social engineering tactics are often employed to manipulate participants into believing that they are part of an exclusive club, or that they possess special qualities that set them apart from the rest of society. Once engaged, individuals can find themselves trapped in a cycle of escalating demands and risky behavior with little chance of escape. The psychological manipulation involved can be so profound that many find themselves unable to extricate themselves even when they realize the danger. Lessons in digital vulnerability. These stories underscore the importance of critical thinking and digital literacy in today's world. The dark web, with its promise of anonymity and unbridled freedom, can become a dangerous playground for those who are ill-prepared for its realities. It is crucial for individuals to be aware of the tactics employed by malicious actors and to understand that not every challenge or dare is worth the risk. 8. Cybersecurity and personal risk. The unseen dangers. In addition to the explicit dangers presented by illicit dark websites, there is a broader issue of cybersecurity that affects anyone who ventures into these realms. Whether it is through malware, phishing schemes, or sophisticated hacking techniques, the dark web is replete with methods designed to compromise your personal data, your privacy, and even your physical safety. 8.1. The menace of malware and hacking. Many dark websites are not just repositories of disturbing content, they are also potential troves of malicious software. Unsuspecting users who visit these sites can inadvertently download malware that can track their online behavior, steal sensitive data, or even take control of their devices. The anonymous nature of these sites means that any malware found is rarely scrutinized or removed, making them a constant hazard for the unwary. An incident of a breach system. There is a well-known case of an individual who, after visiting a seemingly innocuous dark web forum, found that his computer was gradually taken over by malware. The malware was designed to monitor his keystrokes and capture sensitive information. By the time he realized the breach, a significant amount of his personal and financial data had been compromised. The recovery process was long and costly, underscoring the hidden dangers of interacting with dark web content. 8.2. The realities of personal data exploitation. The risks extend far beyond malware. Cybercriminals on the dark web are adept at using social engineering to extract personal information. Whether it is through fake customer service chats, phishing emails, or even direct messages on dark web forums, the end goal is often the same: to steal your identity, your money, and your peace of mind. The proliferation of data breach sites means that any piece of information you share on the net, no matter how insignificant it may seem, can be weaponized against you. A sobering reminder. For many, the idea of having their digital life exposed is a nightmare made real. Stories of individuals whose identities have been stolen, bank accounts drained, and reputations destroyed are far too common in this digital era. The dark web is the breeding ground for these crimes, and its impact is felt by countless victims every day. 9. Case studies, true encounters, and unforgettable stories. To truly understand the horror of the dark web, one must look at actual cases where individuals have faced terrifying situations. In this section, we delve into several case studies that highlight the dangers lurking behind the veil of anonymity. 9.1. The case of the mysterious phone purchase. As mentioned earlier, one incident involved a user who purchased a mobile phone from a reputed vendor on a dark web marketplace. Initially, the transaction appeared routine, a classic example of the ease of buying goods in a seemingly normal online setting. However, when the phone arrived, it contained encrypted files and peculiar messages that hinted at surveillance and deeper criminal networks. The buyer's subsequent investigation revealed that the device might have been used as a tracking tool by a criminal syndicate. The repercussions of this purchase went far beyond a simple scam. It underscored how everyday transactions on the dark web can inadvertently entangle you in a web of criminal activity. 9.2. The unsolicited threat from a hitman website. Another case study involves an individual who, after a moment of reckless curiosity, decided to contact a hitman service on the dark web. The experience quickly turned sinister when the individual began receiving anonymous phone calls containing personal details that only someone with access to his private information could know. Although the intended murder never took place, the psychological trauma was undeniable. This incident not only highlights the real threat posed by such websites, but also demonstrates how easily one can become the target of criminal elements lurking in the digital shadows. 9.3. The horrors of a Red Room encounter. Among the most harrowing stories is that of a person who claims to have inadvertently entered what appeared to be a red room. The live stream was a blur of gruesome images, punctuated by muffled screams and the unmistakable sound of terror. The viewer's attempts to exit the page were thwarted by repeated pop-ups and even direct messages from the site's operators, warning him to remain a witness. Although some argue that the Red Room was a sophisticated hoax, the experience left the viewer with a lasting sense of dread and a deep-seated mistrust of any online content that crosses the boundaries of morality and decency. 9.4. The fallout from a dark web data breach. Perhaps one of the most common yet devastating case studies involves data breaches that occur on dark web forums. In one notable instance, millions of personal records were stolen and sold on a dark web marketplace. Victims reported unauthorized withdrawals from their bank accounts, unexplained credit inquiries, and the sudden appearance of fraudulent accounts in their names. For many, the financial and emotional fallout was overwhelming, a clear demonstration of how vulnerable personal data can be in the hands of malicious cybercriminals. 10. The psychological and societal implications of dark web exposure. The dark web's impact extends far beyond the immediate criminal activities it facilitates. The psychological toll on individuals who encounter its horrors can be profound, and the societal implications are equally concerning. In this section, we explore how exposure to dark web content can affect mental health and contribute to broader social issues. 10.1. Digital trauma and mental health. The disturbing content found on many dark websites has the potential to induce severe digital trauma. Victims of such exposure often experience symptoms similar to those associated with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Nightmares, intrusive thoughts, and a pervasive sense of anxiety can persist long after the initial encounter. Mental health professionals are increasingly recognizing that the digital realm is a new frontier for trauma place, where the shock of what has been seen or experienced online can linger indefinitely. The need for support and recovery. In response to this growing issue, some organizations and mental health professionals have begun to develop specialized programs aimed at helping individuals recover from dark web-induced trauma. These programs focus on cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness practices, and peer support networks. However, the stigma attached to seeking help for such digital traumas remains a significant barrier, underscoring the need for broader societal awareness and acceptance. 10.2. The broader societal impact. Beyond individual trauma, the existence and proliferation of dark websites have far-reaching societal implications. The dark web challenges traditional notions of privacy, security, and morality. It forces society to confront difficult questions about the balance between anonymity and accountability. As governments and law enforcement agencies struggle to adapt to the challenges posed by the dark web, citizens are left to wonder how much of their personal freedom they are sacrificing for security, and vice versa. The ethics of anonymity. The ethical debate surrounding anonymity on the internet is complex. On one hand, anonymity protects political dissidents, whistleblowers, and those living under oppressive regimes. On the other hand, it provides cover for criminals and enables the spread of harmful content. The dark web is a prime example of this ethical dilemma realm, where the promise of freedom and privacy often comes at an unbearable cost. 11. Lessons learned. How to stay safe in a digital world. Given the many dangers associated with the dark web, the question arises, how can one stay safe in a digital world where the boundaries between the legitimate and the illicit are increasingly blurred? While the best advice is to avoid the dark web entirely, many people find themselves curious about its contents or inadvertently exposed to its dangers. The following sections provide practical advice and lessons learned from those who have encountered the dark web's darker side. 11.1. Recognizing the red flags. One of the most important steps in staying safe is learning to recognize the red flags that indicate a potentially dangerous site. Some of the key warning signs include unsolicited communication, receiving messages or notifications from unknown sources with personal details, excessive encryption and obfuscation, websites that rely heavily on encryption without clear evidence of credible purpose, overly sensational content, sites that promise extreme or shocking experiences, particularly those that involve violence or exploitation, requests for personal information. Any site that asks for sensitive data without clear, legitimate reasons should be approached with caution. Trust your instincts. If something feels off about a website, even if you can't pinpoint why, trust your instincts and exit immediately. The digital realm is filled with traps designed to lure you deeper into potentially dangerous territory. 11.2. Cyber hygiene and digital security. Maintaining robust cyber hygiene is critical in protecting yourself from the myriad threats of the dark web. Here are some best practices to consider. Use strong, unique passwords. Ensure that every account, especially those that hold sensitive information, is protected by a strong password that is not reused elsewhere. Enable two-factor authentication, 2FA. This extra layer of security can help prevent unauthorized access even if your password is compromised. Regularly update software. Keeping your operating system, browsers, and antivirus software up to date can protect against known vulnerabilities. Avoid clicking on unknown links, especially those that originate from dubious sources or dark websites. Educate yourself and stay informed. The landscape of cybersecurity is ever evolving, and staying informed about the latest threats and protective measures is essential. Consider subscribing to cybersecurity newsletters or following trusted experts in the field. 11.3. Psychological preparedness. Even if you never intend to explore the dark web, being mentally prepared for encountering disturbing content can make a significant difference. Understand that if you do come across something deeply unsettling, it is okay to seek help. Professional counseling, online support groups, and mental health resources can provide crucial assistance in processing and recovering from digital trauma. Building resilience. Developing resilience involves more than just digital security. It's also about taking care of your mental and emotional health. Engage in practices that reduce stress, such as mindfulness, exercise, or creative pursuits, to build a strong foundation that can help you cope with unexpected challenges. 12. Reflections on the digital age and the future of the dark web. As we move further into the 21st century, the dark web remains a potent symbol of the internet's dual nature, its ability to offer both immense freedom and profound danger. The stories and case studies described above are not isolated incidents. They are symptomatic of a broader trend in which the line between the virtual and the real becomes increasingly blurred. As technology continues to evolve, so too will the methods and motivations of those who exploit its darker side. 12.1. The evolution of digital crime. Digital crime is not static. It evolves in response to new technologies, legal frameworks, and societal changes. The dark web, with its emphasis on anonymity and decentralized control, is at the forefront of this evolution. Cybercriminals are constantly adapting their techniques, making it a challenge for law enforcement to keep pace. This dynamic nature means that even as authorities shut down one site, another emerges to take its place. Looking to the future, experts predict that as technology becomes more sophisticated, so too will the tools available to both criminals and those tasked with stopping them. The integration of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and advanced encryption methods may fundamentally alter the landscape of digital crime. In this context, understanding the dark web and its workings is not just a matter of curiosity, it is essential for preparing for the challenges of tomorrow. 12.2. Societal impacts and policy implications. The existence of the dark web forces us to confront difficult questions about privacy, freedom, and security. Policymakers must strike a delicate balance between safeguarding civil liberties and protecting citizens from harm. As governments around the world grapple with these issues, There is an urgent need for dialogue and collaboration between tech experts, law enforcement agencies, and civil society, a call for global cooperation. The challenges posed by the dark web are not confined to national borders. They are global in nature, requiring international cooperation and shared strategies. By fostering a collaborative approach, the global community can better address the threats posed by digital crime while preserving the fundamental rights that underpin a free society.